Hey, welcome to the Inspiring Founders podcast. My name is Michael Ashley, and I'm your host. Today, we're going to head downtown Santa Cruz to meet up with an inspiring founder named Sol Lipman. Sol is the owner of Pleasure Pizza downtown Santa Cruz, and he also started something called PieFi. He's putting together teams from the universities, and they're rapidly building out new products. Come downtown Santa Cruz with me. We're going to meet up with Sol, and here's the interview. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
This is an experiment. It's kind of one of the very first podcasts that we're doing. As a matter of fact, so it's called the Inspiring Founders Podcast.
Okay.
And the idea of the Inspiring Founders Podcast is to talk to founders who are inspiring, but also to maybe dredge up the stories or
Sure.
the interesting stuff that can potentially inspire other founders.
Cool.
So first, can you introduce yourself and tell everybody kind of, who you are
Sure.
and why you're interesting?
Okay. I don't know about why I'm interesting, but hey, my name is Sol, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I live in Santa Cruz, California. I have started many startups, some of which have been awesome and some of which have been horrific failures. But I always like to make things and create things. So for me, doing startups is like an art. I love it.
And so when we met, I guess maybe more than 10 weeks ago, and the way that we met was you were pitching this idea of PieFi. You had just told us, I think you bought Pleasure Pizza downtown, or
Yep.
this pizza shop, and this little room is behind the pizza shop, and you had this vision because of something that happened. You actually had this vision of creating this sort of private incubator space or something to help startups, but it happened for a reason. And I think I remember you had a lot of energy when you were telling us about it. What was the genesis of it? Why did you get so excited about creating PieFi?
I think every year I mentor UC Santa Cruz students who are building products. And in the last year, I've seen a real shift in the level of product that is being built, as well as the kind of entrepreneur building the product. And so the trend was really visible during this Launchpad competition at UC Santa Cruz, where we used to have, a couple legitimate companies that would come out of that, or potential companies that might come out of that. This time it felt like there were products in market. It felt like there was just a real change in how people were looking at creating products. The things that the students were excited about was really, really different. How they approached marketing seemed really different. So after, I was just really energized. And I felt like, hey, I've done tech a lot in my life. I have, our family bought the pizza shop downtown, Pleasure Pizza downtown, best pizza in Santa Cruz. And I was just like, started to host events and, and it just became a really cool experience where all of a sudden I was interacting with, students with 5 different products in the market. And so this space became available. It used to be like an antique store. And so we took it over, we demoed part of it, we painted it, and we put some of our old furniture in it.
Nice.
And we got this sick ass foosball table.
Yeah, maybe we can
that
play
Brent
that later.
made.
Thanks, Brent.
That is like literally an 8-person foosball table, which is sick.
Ready for use.
And ready for use.
All right.
And so that's why I wanted to do PieFi. Also, it's just like for me, having done so many startups and not landing, ever having like a real career, it means that I've seen a lot. And so it's great. It's easier for me to help students because I have done so many things. For better or for worse.
You know, that's like a topic that I've heard a lot from serial entrepreneurs, I guess you might say, is that the accelerators, the incubators, the programs that you see coming out of universities or whatever, they're so focused on sort of the academia of it or the lecturing.
Right.
Like, let us tell you what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And what I hear you saying is like that's not actually what people need or want or cherish. It's this experience, the stories, the things that you bring to the table.
I think when you do a startup, it usually is like, okay, I have an idea. You sort of like validate that idea. And then you start to think, okay, I'm going to build like an MVP, or maybe I need to go raise a little money to build an MVP. And then, all of a sudden you're like, okay, I've done all this work, but I've hit this roadblock where I have to raise money, and that's really hard to do. I think that's changed.
Yeah.
Now you can build a product, get it in market, find out, your customer acquisition costs before you even have to raise $1.
Yeah.
And especially if you're a student and you're, you are supported somehow, like your risk portfolio is pretty low, right?
Yep.
You may not yet have made the mistake of getting married or having children.
So what you're saying though, you're saying it's kind of the same process. You still go through the same process, but today you can do it for $1,000 or $2,000 or less. Whereas in the past it was 20 or 200.
Well, and that's the real change, right? Is from everything prior to last year seemed like a pitch deck was the right thing for an entrepreneurial class, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Because the pitch deck, it brings a lot of things together. It's like you have to think through a lot to be able to make a pitch deck that's a successful pitch deck. What's my message? What's my product? What's the problem I'm solving? What's the TAM? What's the, and where's the revenue model? Blah, 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 right? Yeah. Which is all really good stuff.
Yeah.
But now you can really skip the pitch deck and just build a product.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it's easier to build a product and show it to people than it is to try to convince somebody that it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And that's like a huge shift. That's a huge shift.
Yeah.
And it's going to shift everything. The funding markets are going to shift, right? Because now I don't need $500,000 from Y Combinator to succeed. I need $5,000 and some really good mentors.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big, I think we're witnessing a real revolution, not just in like how we use technology to enhance our lives, but how we actually make new products. And, like, I think AI is the next, small business world, right? Like you used to not be able to afford to create an app that's just, purpose built for your local business, for instance, right? Now you can.
I remember, I was talking to somebody about this, and the whole vision or the whole sort of history of software development, it was that making software was so expensive and you needed super skills to do it.
Right.
And so companies could be created around software development on purpose, and then they would create software that they could sell more generalized software. They had to kind of water it down, but they could sell it to a lot of different people. But then as technology got better and better, as people started to learn more how to do things, you could actually build more vertical software. And so you saw a lot of the SaaS companies come out, and they were building very vertical specific software. And then you have this AI revolution where it's kind of like, hey, you don't have to be a software company anymore. You don't have to even be a specialized developer. You can actually create the one piece of software you want for your business.
Yeah. And it's crazy, actually, if you think about how fast that's shifted.
Yeah.
Which to me means there's just going to be thousands of product developers where, millions of product developers where there weren't before.
Mm-hmm.
So like Lovable is one of the vibe coding platforms. They say that they're doing 100,000 new projects are started every day.
Jeez.
unlovable.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty crazy if you think about it, right? Like that's 100,000. Now, a lot of those would be abandoned. A lot of those won't be companies.
Yeah.
A lot of,
Yeah.
but the fact that somebody could have an idea, put a prompt into, an input box and come out with an app.
Yeah. Even if it's just for the proof of concept. Like
Exactly.
even if it's just for that.
I do that all the time now. I'll build an interface just to show someone.
Yeah.
Like it could work like this.
Yeah.
And that's like an amazing luxury to me.
Do you remember, I think you're probably old enough, you're probably like my age, but do you remember when we used to have to build interfaces in Excel and then like link cells to other cells? Like
totally.
you'd fake the entire UI would be built on a spreadsheet and they would
like
connect around.
Sitemaps and all of that sort of thing.
It's so funny.
Yeah, we don't really do that anymore.
So let's bring this back to PieFi and so what you were able to accomplish. So you had this vision, you were struck like many of us were like, wow, this is an incredible moment in time. There are incredibly creative students who are coming through the universities, many international students. International students have a kind of a different mentality also around, like what's possible, maybe a little bit more risk tolerance. I don't know. I'm not actually sure about how that works. Maybe you have some opinions there, but you saw this happening. And you said, okay, I want to do it. We made some space. We created this space. And then you had this challenge. You were going to do 10 and 10.
Right.
So tell me about that and tell me kind of how it worked out.
Yeah. So, we're 6 months into this whole idea of PieFi, and not even that, I don't think. And we just did a summer program where we had 10 teams building 10 products. Some of those products were already at varying levels of completeness, so they were in different stages, right? We had,
all university students?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All we had a couple entering freshmen as well.
Really?
Yep. And so it went pretty well. Like some of the projects never flew. There was a project that we got really excited about, but once we got into market and started testing it, we realized it didn't work, which is another amazing thing about this timeline for us as entrepreneurs is that you can build something and decide that didn't work and do something else.
Throw it away quick. Right? Get rid of it.
If you take $500,000 of investment or $10 million of investment or whatever, somebody expects you to finish the job, you have to go find product market fit, right?
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that I think makes us awesome that holds back entrepreneurs all the time. Now that won't happen anymore, right?
So
pretty cool.
What did you do differently for PieFi than you saw was already out there in the market or available?
I just think that, first of all, I think the universities in general, while amazing, they don't really, some of them are very experiential where you go and you build and you do these things. But, a lot of these ideas are coming out of like computer science degrees where the goal isn't necessarily to do a startup. The goal is to learn, right? Yeah. It's the academic part of it. Mm-hmm. And so I think differently, PieFi just says, start building what's in your heart, whatever cool idea you have. Mm-hmm. Let's just start building it. As you need help in the different, from like the spark stage to, knowing your cost of customer acquisition, right? Like there's all these different stages. Wherever you land will help you get to the next place. Yeah. And a lot of it, culturally things have changed. Now people like to build in public, right? Marketing is built into the development of a product in a way that it didn't used to be, right? Yeah. It used to be in stealth or used to be, and part of that was because it was going to take you a year and you didn't want anybody else to do it. Yeah. And you kind of wanted to have that aha moment when you finally released your thing. But now it's different. Now people, culturally, it's different. They're
like, come and break this with us.
Yeah. Like come be part of this journey, this story, not, the recipient of the news later. Right. Yeah. And so that's really fascinating to me, this whole idea of building in public, having to market yourself on TikTok or LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever, right? It's just a really, really different...
Totally different world.
Totally different world. And so when I look at what's going on, even like when I meet with venture capitalists or whatever, or the things I'm seeing on LinkedIn about, I just raised this and I just raised that. Well, I don't know. I think that this is the long tail of what started really with the .com boom. This is the long tail of that. And all of the things you're seeing and all these like AI infrastructure companies, all of that, that's really cool. But I think those will start to be less interesting than, think about the funding. Well, think about the funding models, right? You want the whole goal is to have these unicorn companies, right? I think that there's a new goal, and that's to build great businesses. And some of those will become unicorn companies, but some of them will be $100 million run rate businesses that are badass, right? That aren't that are great,
perfectly fine,
jobs and wealth and happiness and you know what I mean, like great customer experiences. So
bootstrapped. Even not they don't even need big venture money. You could build a $100 million ARR lifestyle business and run it, and
that's why I think if you go to the end of the story, which is these companies become successful in whatever way they become successful, and you work backwards, it's just all the infrastructure that exists, from municipalities to universities to institutional investors, angel investors, accelerators, it's not made for the future. And I think that a model like PieFi is, where it's about people coming together, people building. It's about, I think a lot about reverse mentoring, where I think the students that I'm working with know a lot more than a lot of the people I used to work with at Amazon or Yahoo or AOL or so I think that a community space where you're encouraged to build and help each other and ship things is really what I want to do.
That's awesome. We're doing another show actually tomorrow. I'm interviewing a couple people, one of the program managers at an incubator and also the director at the SBDC over in Silicon Valley. And those are the two topics actually that came up: community and mentorship.
Right.
And I think that what we're seeing, like you're saying, is that it used to be sort of discovery and money and advising, but now what you're saying, and I believe is true as well, is build community, put people together. They'll figure it out. People are smart, but they want that kind of connection. And then the mentorship is not about advising or telling as much as it is about sort of Socratic dialogue or something.
Right. Well, no, and that's the thing, right? It's completely, you're right. It's more about coming together, helping each other out. It's not even about mentors. What I'll do is I'll just say, hey, Shiftly they build a platform that matches college students up with local shift jobs like the pizza shop, for instance.
Perfect.
Okay. And, so what did they need? They needed a product manager who had built a lot of interfaces because they had a really cool interface, but it needed work. It needed to pare down features and so I hooked them up with somebody who I think is the very best product manager. So she could say, okay, guys, these colors don't make sense here. This, if you did the onboarding like this, it would be better, and so
like a connector, like coming at it as if your role's not a mentor, but as sort of like a connector who can see the things that they're missing and fill in holes and gaps. And
the idea of a mentor that can't really do something for you, it seems silly to me, right? So if those guys really, I know people that work at Indeed or Upwork or, you know what I mean? I know those people. And if I don't know those people, they're one connection away from me, so I can get to them.
Oh, interesting.
Right. And so that's what I've been doing. It's I need We got one called Project Standby, which is this AI voice resource for incarcerated people. And they really needed a public defender. So we all started working our networks, not just me, even the other students started working their networks to try to help find somebody that this person could really talk to. So it's collaborative, it's community.
Yeah.
I feel invested in every single thing we're building. I think the other students feel invested. We're working on a startup, all of us together, to sort of formalize kind of how we're working into sort of a front end that anybody can use called PieFi Builder.
So cool.
And so
that's cool. Have you had a chance? So after 10 and 10, and after you guys built some stuff out, have you had a chance to debrief and kind of sort of talk with the startups who went through it and kind of say, hey, what happened for you? What did you learn? What can we do different? Like all that.
Yeah.
Sort of
we're not really done yet, honestly. So we're going to do an event on November 2nd at the Museum of Art and History, where there'll be in part a demo day, but there'll be some other really cool things that we'll announce soon, even though we're way behind on
pizza.
That. There will be pizza, maybe some chicken tenders. So I don't think we've sort of done really the postmortem. They just got back for class like last week. Our big meeting is tonight, actually, in this room. It's going to be our first meeting in the clubhouse. So it was very exciting. So I'm even more excited because now Brent brought the foosball table.
I think it's time to wrap it up and play some foosball.
Yeah,
you okay with that? Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for being my part of the experiment. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I love being part of your experiment. Thank you for coming all this way to see me.